little honeydews, and welcome to Sippin N Bitchin, where the drinks are icy and the book talk is spicy. We're your main bitches. I'm Sam.
And I'm Steph. We nailed it. Don't ask us how many times we had to do that, but
It's done.
that's
We
that's
made
it's
it.
done. We done did it. Um, Welcome to our show. First episode. Technically, this is like episode 0. Intro to who the heck we are. Heck? Hell.
I was gonna say
Listen, we're
we
gonna
have
be talking about
bitchin in our name, but we're saying
Yeah,
heck. Like,
I was like, we're also gonna be talking about smut at some point. So really, I
yeah,
don't
we're
really
just
know
gonna
why I
get
said heck.
comfortable with each other real quick. Real quick.
Yeah, real quick. If you don't understand the honeydew reference, don't worry, you will soon enough.
We will cover that.
Figured we should give a little bit of background of who we are, how we met, what we're gonna be doing here, other than drinking
Why we
Alani's and
exist.
coffee. And I don't know if we have enough time for why we exist. I will say it starts with our parents thought it was a good
Okay,
idea.
let's leave the smut to the books and not my parents. Thank you. I don't need that scarring in my head.
Oh well, mine is on video, so that's a story for another time. Anyway, hello. What a grand start to this. We're best friends if you can't tell. Well, I guess we could have been acquaintances that randomly found each other on the internet on a Craigslist ad, but
Well, we did
that is not the
randomly
case.
find each other on the internet, so technically we're not far off from that.
That I guess is also true. Sam and I are gamers, and a long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, used to stream on Twitch. Sam currently streams on Twitch, and through mutual friends, we met, and then
Did we meet on Valorant? Like through mutual
no,
friends? Was it Valorant we were playing?
was it Valorant? I thought it was some other game.
I don't
It
remember because I know we met other people that you introduced us to through Valorant. But I can't remember if you were through Valorant or not.
We've been friends for 2+ years now, and evidently we don't know the story of how we met. So
No.
this is already a start. We met on some game through mutual friends. I know that it was a mutual friend, so here we
Yeah.
are. We got
Yeah.
that far. And then I took like a 3-year break from streaming. 2 year and a half,
This
whatever.
is
I
when
came back.
you were coming back from your 3-year break and starting streaming again, and that's when I met you.
Yeah,
And so I
the
would
old
jump into
chapter,
your
the Asian
streams.
Zing chapter of my life, which is no longer. We're no
And you
longer Asian
ghosted
Zing.
us.
I did. Listen, something else you're gonna learn on this pod is books are a great escape, and sometimes we will not answer you if we're really into a book. And that wasn't the case. I literally just ghosted everybody. I found better coping mechanisms now.
Listen,
So
we have trauma that we live through and we work through unhealthily and then healthily, okay?
and then I'm on the East Coast. Sam is on the West Coast. Hopefully soon to be East Coast one day.
Let's say
One
if
day.
the world is cruel, so
The world. Listen, if the world was so cruel, we wouldn't have met each other at all.
that's fair.
Yeah. And I've seen Sam now twice, soon to be 3 times, because we are going to Taylor Swift later this year.
Oh,
Very
weird.
exciting. In case you're a Swiftie and you want to bond over music too, we can do that. We really went on a tangent, but that's how we met. Cliff Notes version, even though that didn't feel very Cliff Notes
I feel like we
version-y.
didn't actually tell you how we met. It was just vague ideas of how we met.
The internet. Um, After we reconnected, I don't know if it's really a reconnect. After I came back to the world of gaming and streaming and talking to people again, me and Sam learned that we have a lot in common, and that we're practically the same person. And we've been gaming for at least a year now, at least over a year. And I have no idea how we started this reading journey together, also separately, but last year I started to take reading a bit more seriously. I wasn't a big reader growing up. My brother was, so the Harry Potter releases, we would go to those. but there was nothing really, I think, that really piqued my interest until ACOTAR. Shout out to Brie for that recommendation. And so I read ACOTAR last year, and somehow me and Sam started talking books. So here we are today, out here reading it and spending way too much money on books,
Ooh,
Kindle,
don't talk about.
and physical copies.
These are my trophies for my Kindle books, okay?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. A lot of people have like a preference. I will say I do enjoy physical books. I tend to read on my iPad
Mhm.
more, only because it's
It's
not
convenient.
as it's convenient. It's not, for me, it's not as jarring in terms of like feeling like pressured to like read through I read through 800 pages, not very long, but that's besides the point.
Yeah,
And
but once on
I
the
read in the
iPad, you
dark.
don't see how thick it is. You don't see how many pages, so it's not as intimidating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I also read in the dark. I have a beanbag that I will lounge in and just kind of read my books. So it's really nice and convenient. The reason why I don't have a Kindle versus an iPad, one, the iPad screen is bigger, and two, I also watch like Hulu and stuff on there.
Mhm.
So it's really just a catch-all.
Yeah.
Catch-all end all be all, because I am blind. I cannot see distance very well. And that was where I landed, was an iPad. Oh, I guess I also used to draw, so I was using Procreate, but that's another life ago at this point. It is what it is. I don't even know, Sam, do I even know how you started getting back into reading?
I don't think we ever talked about it. No, we just started
We just
talking
kind of
about
talking.
books. Yeah.
Stars in the story of our
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah. Unlike you, I did read growing up. I loved reading growing up. I kind of read the Harry Potter series. That took me a while to get through. I'd get to like book 3 and then stop, and then a year later, I'd start over again, get to like book 4 and stop. And I, I didn't fully read the Harry Potter books till like 2 years ago. Good books though. But I read like The Mortal Instruments, Twilight, Hunger Games. Um,
Twilight. That was a book series I loved, actually.
Down there.
Is it down there? I
Yeah.
will, yeah, Twilight, that came out, we're about the same age. So I think you're a grade under me. So Twilight was middle school for us.
Yeah. I remember 7th grade going to the
Movies.
movie with my friends, and we were like throwing popcorn at the screen and cheering when Edward Cullen came on screen. We were cringe. We were cringe Twilight girls.
Oh,
But
good
I was big
time.
into like Hunger Games and Divergent, and I read a lot growing up. And then I hit college and I got really bad into my depression, and I stopped reading and I stopped listening to music. Um, and I didn't pick it up again until last year. So I
Look at
went a
us
good
go.
like 7-ish years without really reading or listening to music. And then because of TikTok, I heard about ACOTAR, and that was the book series that also got me back into reading. So
Look at us go. I told you, you're gonna find that we're the same person on almost every level. Some of
yes.
our opinions will differ. Some of them are hot takes, but more or less, we're one of the same mind. What? We have the same mind. I don't know what
Yeah.
I was trying to say there, but we essentially have the same mind.
We can read each other's minds. It's great.
It's a
Yeah.
great superpower. I will say, actually, now that I think about it, a lot. So growing up, like it was so long ago, um, like middle school, high school, I did read. I was more into like the young adult romance kind of
Mm-hmm.
fiction world. That I actually still have these books. I'm interested in historical fiction. Now I'm into, smut, fantasy smut. Well, you know,
It's
I
regular
do.
smut.
I do also have some memoirs. I'm trying to get more into memoirs. So this podcast really is going to be about a gamut of books. I mean, me and Sam typically we have the same taste. So if something looks interesting to one, we'll recommend it to the other, and then we'll either buddy read it, or we'll just, we read relatively quickly.
Yeah.
So we catch up and we talk about the books, and
Or we'll read one and message each other being like, don't do it. Just don't do it.
But then you do it anyway because we
Yeah.
just like to have our hearts ripped out. And you know what book I'm talking about.
We're looking
You
at you,
don't.
Rebecca Yaros.
Yeah, I was gonna say you know. Samantha knows what I'm talking about. So yeah, we'll cover series, we'll cover standalones, we'll cover multiple books by the same authors that we enjoy. If you recommend a book, we can choose to talk
Check it
about
out.
it. Some of our Patreon perks, we'll let you vote on the next book we talk about. And sometimes it'll be a deeper dive, I want to say. Other times it'll just be like a overall view of the book, because some of these series are not super duper long, but they're a good 8 books. And let's be real, some of them are 800 pages, and that's
Yeah. And some of
Kingdom of
those you can
Mash. I'm
deep
looking at
dive
you.
good, but it's gonna be a while. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, some of them are so superficially like just pure romance, you can't deep dive into it. So it's like a hey, this is how it went and how we felt type thing.
Yeah, and I find it's really funny because I've been using Goodreads since I started reading again, and Storygraph, and there's another app, and I can't really remember what it is, but we also post our reviews on Instagram on our personal pages, and the reviews on our personal pages, and I'm going to talk for myself, but my reviews on Goodreads, I don't put like a summary, a synopsis, or truly what I think. What I do is I put the star rating I would give it, the amount of peppers in terms of how spicy it is, and a quote or quotes that really resonated with me. And then if there were more than one that I think should just live on my social media, I'll post those on a story. So I think this show will be such a good way to really discuss why we rated something a specific way, or why we feel the way we feel about a book, or what our real thoughts are. I find that I'm not great, like, I'm good with words just when I'm just finished an emotionally traumatizing book. The last thing that I can do is type out a
Is right.
review for it.
Yeah.
Like, I like the quotes in the book really just hit harder for me.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in doing that. We are going to be rereading, right? I mean, our first series, spoiler alert, that we're going to cover is from Blood and Ash, which is our favorite. I'm making that claim. Sorry, Akatar. So we're going to be doing some rereads,
Yeah.
but also we'll be reading some new books. There are books that have impacted us a lot that we feel we should share them and talk about them.
Right. And we don't need to say sorry to Akatar. We love Akatar. Like,
We have to say
Ak-
sorry. That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
okay, well, not sorry to Akatar. Sorry to you guys that are going to call blasphemy until you read from Blood and Ash and go, oh, now we understand. Hopefully. Akatar is a great series. Like it's the one that got us back into reading, and it was one that I was like, man, I forgot I could feel this way about a book. I'll never feel this way again. I'll never get better than this. And then I kept reading more, and I was like, oh my gosh, it can get better than this. And like I rediscovered those emotions I felt like were like locked deep inside me, not allowed to get out, kind of thing.
I don't think I ever had those, which is funny because Akatar was the first series when I came back to reading, and people have mentioned this, especially like book talk people and other creators, like the book hangover is so real when you get into Akatar. And I find that Akatar is such a great ease into, I don't know if it's really an ease, it's kind of like a jolt, but a nice ease into getting like your reading itch either back or starting one. From Blood and Ash takes you on such a, I don't even think roller coaster is a good way to describe it, but it's
It's a
the
journey.
way that each book ends. The first one, which we'll talk about on our first episode in 2 weeks. Fun fact, spoiler alert. Our first episode's coming out in 2 weeks to cover From Blood and Ash. Um, it's it ends on cliffhangers repeatedly, where you're just like, let me ride into this next book. Let me ride into this next book. And then you get to the prequel series and you're like, there's no way that the prequel will be better. Let me tell you.
Joke's on us.
Let me tell you. You
Yeah.
fall in love with these characters in a similar but also very different way than the characters in ACOTAR and the whole SJM universe. Like every universe is different. Every universe has their characters that people cling to. I find that this series or these two series are very much the same, but just different
Different.
journeys.
Yeah. No, I get that because, like you mentioned, that Hangover. Like I read, I know you're not big into rereading. You don't reread a lot. I
This is my
reread very
first time.
often. Yeah,
Mhm.
I reread a lot. I read ACOTAR and immediately started from the beginning and read it again. Like immediately, closed the last book, opened the first book. I now have a hard time reading the first book in ACOTAR. It's my least favorite of the books, and we all know why. Um, but like yeah, from Blood and Ash, it was like I love SJM, but the one thing from Blood and Ash does is it captures your attention from the beginning, and it's wild from the beginning to the end. It's not a wait till the last 100 pages thing, and that's when it gets crazy. Like I remember the end of book 2 when all the big stuff happened and they realized like what was going on. We'll get into that later. And then the beginning of book 3, it picks up right from there and the crazy just keeps going and it doesn't stop going. And I love that.
Yeah, I will say from Blood and Ash is the slower. You know how first books always are. They set the
Mhm.
scene, they're giving you context, whatever.
The world building.
But if y'all want to hop on the train, you got 2 weeks to board it, and you can always board it late. But we will be talking about the very first book. It'll be my first reread I've ever done. This is my
Mhm.
thing with rereads, is I feel like, and I don't know why I feel this way because I'm a rewatcher of shows, despite me already knowing what happens. But
Mhm.
I feel like I start a book and then it's like, oh, well, I already know what happens. So let me just skip.
You start
You know,
skipping, yeah.
in my brain, that's how it works. But I think with From Blood and Ash, now that I've have such a, since I know the whole world now, quote unquote, there's, a new book coming out. But when now that I have like the whole world laid out, I can go back and you find the little nuances. It's like when you go to a place for the first time or you ride a ride for the first time. I'm a huge theme park
Mhm.
person also. And you like ride it through just to like see how it is. And then once you ride it again, you look for the little like characters or little Easter
Yeah,
eggs. I think that that's very much where this is going to go. And I think I'm going to find some new quotes to annotate and highlight. So
I
I'm really
agree with
happy
that.
about that.
I very much agree with that because even with like rewatching shows, I always find something that I didn't see the first time because you don't know what to look for. And knowing
Exactly.
this series and the prequel and the visions, like the little guidebook that basically came out, it's like there's so much more that you understand now that you're like, hey, this is happening here, but we know in somewhere else, other part of the book, this is happening. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
I
I'm
love
really
that.
excited to get into it. We'll go over in 2 weeks, we'll go over recommended reading order. We'll kind of give you the lay of the land. But the newest book will be coming out in August. So we're gonna try and hopefully succeed, cover the whole series up to this point through until August. So we're gonna try to do an episode, 2 episodes a month. I'm gonna say every 2 weeks will be a new episode, and we'll go from there, as you can see here by this tower. Maybe as we cover the episodes, I'll just dwindle this stack down
All
so
right.
that it'll be like a countdown to
Yeah.
the new
I
release.
currently only have the first three. I am every pay. I have this deal with myself that every paycheck I can get a new hardcover because they're my
Oh,
favorite. So I'm like
mhm.
slowly building it up.
I also I love that I bought the hardcovers because a lot of publishing companies and authors now are doing, not even authors, but there are also like other stores and shops that are doing dust sleeves, like new
Yes.
ones.
Hmm.
And I really want to invest in some, and I feel like it only works with the hardcovers. So
Yeah, yeah. Paperbacks, you can't really do that. Speaking of which, though, if you want to look at the series, both the From Blood and Ash and the Flesh and Fire, which is the prequel, and the pre-order in our link tree are all the links for that, so you can
Yes.
see where all the books are. You don't have to go
Yes.
searching and hope. Oh, is this the right series?
I mean, you
So
can go searching, but
you
we
can
got your
you
back
you
already.
can say screw you in your link tree. I'm an independent bitch, and that's fine. We just
Yeah,
want to help you out.
exactly. Speaking of our link tree, Sippin N Bitchin is our link tree. Our Instagram, Sippin N Bitchin. Our
TikTok.
TikTok is Sippin N Bitchin Pod,
Okay.
and we have a Patreon, which is also linked. We'll have all the links in the description or in the summary or whatever these things are called nowadays, because I literally there's too many social medias to keep track of, and
Wherever
frankly,
you're watching or listening, wherever the about is, that's where our links will be.
that thing she keeps me accountable for life, let me tell you. And then also, if you really feel like, further following our journeys, we are, while we're rereading, we are also reading other books. I'm currently reading A Little Life, which has already started to rip my heart out, and I know that that is a popular book right now on Book Chalk. So I'm working on reading that, and there's another book I'm reading, one of my book of the month books. I'm trying to get through my book of the month, Surplus. I also just got the next one, so I'm working through that. Sam, you're reading.
I am actually starting 1,000 Boy Kisses because you've been telling me
Oh,
to read that one. So I'm finally starting that one.
it was to me, and that is,
I know. I was like, I haven't told her I'm reading this yet. So I'm literally on page like 3. So I'm just starting it.
that's,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's a short read. It's a good read. So we'll be crying in between our rereads of From Blood and Ash. So if you want to keep up with our reading journeys separately but also together, we'll post some stuff on the Sippin and Bitchin stories as
Mm-hmm.
well. Go do that, and then in 2 weeks, 2 weeks, um, we will have our first real episode, first talk, book book banter, book, no, book talk sounds better, I think.
Book talk talk. We'll have our book talk talk.
Say that 3 times really fast. Yeah, I think if you have any questions for us, I'm sure we'll do a little Q&A box on Instagram at some point, and you can ask it and we can answer it here. And if you have book recommendations, I'm just saying.
We need the books because we have big goals. So we need all the books. Do you want to
Oh yeah.
talk about our reading goals for the year?
um I'm working on
Keeping us
100
accountable.
books, 100 books for the year. I am at 34 completed. I'm on my 35th and then 36th. I am not counting rereads. So my From Blood and Ash reread will not be included in this journey of mine. It is going to be 34 or 100 new books. And the only reason why I don't count rereads is because I already know what's happens, and I feel like I'm biased and I will read somewhat faster, or I'll gloss over something. Like it doesn't feel like a new
Mm,
experience to me, so I want it to be 100 new books into my
yeah,
life.
yeah. That's kind of how mine is too. But I did no rereads because that's all I do is reread. Um, I so mine's 100 books as well. I'm on book. This is book 30, I believe. I'm hitting book 30.
Yeah, let's
I
go.
know. I've given up on trying to catch up to you. I've really given up on that. Because people will say I read fast, but you read faster. So, like I in January I read 10 books and I was updating them on my Instagram, and I had multiple people reach out to me going, "How are you reading this so fast?" And I will be like, "Oh, some of them are only like 300 pages," and they're like, "Only?" I'm like, "Oh, is that not? Is that not?"
Yeah, that's, we're not normal,
Okay.
and that's okay.
Yes.
But we would
Um,
love for you to go on this journey, share your
yes.
journey. We're on Goodreads, so
Yep.
track our challenges there too.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You can see all the crazy stuff we got.
Or you can just see the crazy. Let's be honest, you could just see the crazy. Our TBRs are also very long. After we
They're
get
growing.
through There are a few books that I think we're already on par to discuss here. But afterwards, we got a whole TBR to get through.
Yep.
So we'll be trucking through those with our Alanis. Not sponsored, but I wish. That's our goal in life. We're going to manifest. Alani, have your
Alani,
people
we're
call our
addicted.
people.
You might as well just support.
Honestly, support the addiction. Like I said, we have a Patreon. It's not required at all to listen to the show. The show is free. But if you want to support us in our endeavors, there's some, extra content and extra craziness that you can witness.
Our
I'm
tier
already.
names are top class. You want to go look at those?
Oh yeah, just if you do nothing, if you don't sign up, if you just do one thing, go to our Patreon and just look at the tier names. That's it. That really
Quality.
that's and share the show.
Yes.
Review the show, obviously, once we get more episodes out. But if you already like our beautiful faces that you
Or our
can't,
voices.
yeah, I was gonna say, if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. But if you're listening to us in your ears, I think subscribe, follow, or review.
Whatever
We
that
love a
fun
good
button
review.
says.
Whatever the fun button says, it's probably not fun. It's literally just probably follow, but that's okay. That's okay with us. Well, I'm so excited for y'all to learn the history of the honeydew and where we're going. This is gonna be
Once
wild.
you learn what a honeydew means, you're gonna be like, why the hell are they calling us honeydews? It's because we love to be this way. I'm not gonna say what we love. You just gotta learn
we're
what it is.
just we're just gonna be that way. But thanks for listening, and subscribing and doing. And if you've gotten this far, welcome to the honeydew fam, the Sippin N Bitchin fam, the craziness that is Sam and Steph. Truly,
Hold on, because
truly
you're in
wild.
for a ride. We are something. We're quite
We are.
something.
We are quite something, but we're a great team. So until the next episode, we'll catch you later, bitches.